Hello?
Mr. Cunningham?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was de-heading at the top of the garden. Nice to meet you. Do come in. I'm not sure where Casey is. I did tell her to keep an eye out for you. Now then, let's see. Mr. Cunningham. 5 nights?
Yes.
Good trip down?
Yeah, surprisingly. Roads were relatively quiet.
I've done upstairs, Mrs. Hughes.
Casey, this is Mr. Cunningham.
Oh, hi.
He's staying with us for a few days.
I'm going to be a bit late Wednesday. Mum needs the car. Should be here around 10ish. You look like that guy on telly. The quiz show on Sunday night. Don't you think so?
Which quiz show?
Comes on late, I think. Channel 4?
Not me, sorry.
Oh, well. There's a funny smell in room 3. I don't know where it's coming from. See you Wednesday.
Right. Well, I expect you'll be wanting to see your room. She means well. I've known the family for years. She leaves soon, travelling around Asia or some other foreign parts. Do it while you can, that's what I say. While you're young. I've given you the twin room. I know it's just yourself, but I thought it'd give you more room. I hope it's to your liking.
Yes, fine.
Right, well, why don't I leave you to unpack and freshen up? Would you like some tea or coffee?
Tea would be lovely.
Okay, downstairs, say in 30 minutes.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So, am I the only guest?
Dr. Bell's with us at the moment. I call him Dr. Bell, but he's been retired for some time. Been coming for years, this Dr. Bell. He's a really nice man. His wife died a few years ago. Visits 2-3 times a year. One of our regulars, as they say. Does a lot of painting, sketching, that sort of thing. Are you married?
Separated, I'm afraid. Still, technically married.
So, what plans have you got for this week?
Well, if the weather's fine, some walking would be good. A few local pubs, that sort of thing.
You should speak to Dr. Bell. He's a very keen walker. He must know all the good walks round here. Biscuits.
I don't suppose there's a camera shop in the village?
No! You'll have to go to Ofton. About 3 miles away. They have most shops. They have lots of antique shops. And there's a very nice flea market near the station. Oh, excuse me. That'll be the plumber.
Yeah, of course. No, thanks for the tea.
Mr. Cunningham, breakfast is between 8 and 9 a.m.
That's fine. Thank you. Excuse me. Can you tell me how much this one is, could you please? No tick on it.
Tenner?
Tick 8.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Cunningham. Trust you slept well.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Bell, this is Mr. Cunningham. He's staying with us for a few days. Help yourself to cereals. Tea or coffee?
Tea, please.
Would you like the full works? Egg, bacon, sausage, mushrooms, baked beans?
Yes, please. Oh, no mushrooms. I understand you sketch, paint?
Well, I try. I find the landscapes here some of the most beautiful I've seen. Trying to capture them, there lies the skill. Do you paint, Mr. Cunningham?
Jonathan, please. No, photography is my passion, but that and walking.
Two excellent pastimes. And what's your line of work?
Well, until 3 months ago I was in advertising, but I woke up one morning with the sudden realisation it was no longer for me. So I took early retirement.
It won't be long.
So, luckily, I'm now out of the rat race. That's why I'm here, really.
Well, you've certainly chosen a lovely place. Have you been on any walks yet?
Yesterday, I took a walk up to Whitethorn Hill. I attempted to. I must have taken a wrong turn. I ended up in a wooded copse over the other side.
You headed for the small pylon and then down the opposite lane?
Yeah, and there's a gate at the bottom. I turned left.
Ah, there you have it. You should have gone straight over. You follow the path and it eventually brings you out onto Whitethorn Hill. Carry on further, you come to the beacon. Wonderful views.
Oh, well, I may try that walk today. Weather seems reasonable.
Just carry straight on once you get to the gate.
Any plans today?
Thought I might stroll up to Barmer's Down, take the sketch pad, see what happens.
Off out, Mr. Cunningham.
Thought I might take another walk. Maybe a bite to eat at the local later.
They do a very nice fish pie.
Mrs. Hughes, apart from Dr. Bell and myself, there's no one else staying at the farmhouse.
Not that I'm aware of, and if they are, they're not paying any rent. Why do you ask?
No, it's nothing.
Saw you on telly last night.
Really? Look forward to my paycheck now. Off to work.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Don't work too hard.
Oh, I never do. All right, Dovey?
Hi, Casey. Mind if I join you?
Oh, Mr. Cunningham. How nice to see you.
It's Jonathan, please.
In that case, Ronald, my mother was besotted with Ronald Coleman, the Hollywood actor.
No, sorry.
Probably before your time.
It's very good.
Early days. It's getting there. Slowly. Everything all right?
Yeah, fine.
I'm a very good listener. Why don't you join me tonight for a nightcap? I have a very nice malt that could do with some company. Your good health.
That is an excellent whiskey. Do you believe in ghosts?
Now there's a question. My wife was very spiritual. Would often see departed pets, dogs, cats. One night, we were sitting having dinner when all of a sudden she stood up and announced, "I have to go. My father has died." Apparently she saw him standing at the other end of the table. Interesting thing was, she hardly ever spoke of these occurrences.
Had he died?
Yes. Apparently he died a few minutes before 10 that evening, exactly the same time as my wife stood up from the table. I, on the other hand, have never seen anything. I have wished many a time to see my dear wife, or to have had some kind of feeling that she was with me. Do you?
Believe in ghosts? Up until a week ago, I would have said an emphatic no. Now I'm not so sure. A few days ago, I visited an emporium, a flea market in Offerton. Purchased a walking stick. Odd thing to purchase, I know, but I did my back in last week changing a tyre, and I thought the stick would come in handy with all the walking I intended to do this week. Ever since then, I felt a presence, as if someone's watching me all the time. Last night there was something in my room. I definitely heard it. It was like clothes rustling. And then the day before, whilst I was out walking, I heard a woman's voice call out hello 3 or 4 times. The plateau gives an unbroken view of the landscape. There was no one there. No one could see. And then walking back, I just got the distinct impression that someone was following me.
You know, the light up on those hills can be, well, quite deceptive at times. Many a time I've had an image lined up to paint, and in a second it's gone. The light creates its own features, its own landscape. That's what makes it so intriguing to capture.
But that doesn't explain the voice I heard.
I don't deny you heard a voice or voices. Probably a group of hikers playing a joke on you.
No, there was no one else there.
You cannot be sure of that. the landscape up there is full of woods and valleys all the way up to the beacon.
Yesterday, I set off for Whitethorn Hill, as we discussed at breakfast. And somehow I found myself in the same area as the day before. It's as if the walking stick is leading me somewhere. And whilst I was scanning the hillside with my binoculars, I saw a woman in a wooded copse a few hundred yards away, staring straight at me.
It could have been someone walking their dog.
No, this woman's face was full of hatred.
Oh, you caught a good glimpse of her then?
No, not really. I dropped the binoculars. When I picked them up again, she'd gone.
I still say this all has a logical explanation.
What about the noises last night in my room?
I know it's an old cliche, but this is an old building. You say this all started since you purchased the walking stick?
It would appear that way, yeah.
I suggest you go back to the flea marketplace in question and try to find out who brought it in to be sold. They must keep records.
I'm sorry, it's just not company policy to divulge any information about the owners.
Yes, I understand. But I'm only in the area a few days. I desperately need to speak to the owner or the person that brought the stick in.
Well, whereabouts in the market did you find it?
It was right here in this box.
Well, wait here. I'll go and get the ledger book.
Thank you.
Right, let's have a look. These items in this section, they were brought in by... Oh, here we are. It's a Mrs. Sturridge.
Do you have a contact number?
No, I'm really sorry, sir. We're not allowed to give out personal details of any of the owners. It's company policy. However, if you give me your details, I can pass them on. And if they want to contact you, well, obviously...
Yes. Thank you. If I give you my card. Thank you. I'm only here for a few days.
I will pass your contact details on.
Thank you.
Cunningham. Sorry to have kept you.
It's very kind of you to see me at such short notice.
Please sit down.
The reason I'm here, Mrs. Sturridge, is...
I know why you're here, Mr. Cunningham. Is that the walking stick that's now in your possession?
Yes, I'm sure it is.
The man is Joseph Sturridge, my great-grandfather. The woman was his wife, Clara. The effects at the Emporium belong to my late mother. She died last year, but we only managed to sort out her items about 6 months ago. Before my mother died, she told me a story about her grandfather. Joseph Sturridge married a local girl, Clara Haney. They had 2 children, Alfred, my grandfather, and a girl, Sarah, who died before her first birthday. Not long after, Joseph started seeing another lady from the local village. Apparently it was common knowledge to everyone in the village except Clara. Obviously at some point she did find out, followed them one day and, well, in a fit of jealousy and rage, hit Joseph with the walking stick. He fell to the ground, cracked his head on a rock and died. Clara was tried, found guilty and hung. We know it to be true, Mr. Cunningham. I have copies of all the paper clippings and court reports from that time.
And what happened to your grandfather?
Alfred. He was raised by one of Joseph's sisters. Again, we know that to be true. I have copies of the parish records.
And the walking stick?
How the walking stick came to remain in our family, I have absolutely no idea. The first time I knew of its existence was when my mother recounted the story to me.
But what I don't understand...
That's not the end of the story. It was my mother's wish that anything left over from her will should be given to the local emporium. It was then that she told me her grandfather's walking stick was somewhere amongst her many possessions in the attic, and she said that when we found it, we were not to give it away. She was very insistent. She said if we came upon it, to burn it. Took weeks clearing her house and the attic, but eventually I did find an old walking stick in one of the trunks. Whether it's the walking stick in question, I have no idea.
And what did you do with it?
I remember giving it to the gardener and I told him to burn it, which he assured me he did. We have copies of all the items given to the emporium. There is no mention of a walking stick. There is something else. You're not the first person I've told this story to. Another gentleman came to see me about 3 months ago, having purchased the walking stick from the emporium. He sat where you're sitting now, and I told him the exact same story I've just told you. Have you seen her, Mr. Cunningham?
Yes.
You must get rid of it. Do what you will. Remove yourself from its presence. It's cursed. It has to be. I believe Clara Haney has a hatred of all men, and she uses her will through the walking stick. I said the same thing to the other man who came to see me.
Do you have a contact number or address for this man?
He's dead, Mr. Cunningham. He hung himself in woods near Whitethorn Hill.